Hi guys, last time, I left off at episode 2 of Divorced Single Season 5, and I know some of you wanted me to dive into episode 8. But listen, I couldn't just jump ahead like that. I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. Plus, I want us all to be on the same page, so let's keep it moving from episode 3, shall we? If you're curious about my take on the show with some juicy recaps sprinkled in, then stick around and watch this video till the end. I'm going to do my best to crank out these episode reviews as quickly as possible. And hey, if you missed my thoughts on episodes 1 and 2, don't worry, they're up on my channel, so feel free to check them out. Now let's get into the video. So, episode 3 kicks off with Saebom and Seo immediately hyping up each other's looks. Seo thinks Saebom looked like a doll when they first met, and Saebom hyped her too, saying she looked luxurious, feminine, cool and pretty. In short, Seo's visuals were her ideal look. But then, reality hits when Seo told her that she and Jongkyu were each other's first impression choices. Now let's talk about the moment Jongkyu stepped out of his room and saw Saebom staring at something outside. He casually stepped up next to her and took a peek at what she was looking at, which happens to be their new date tasks on the board outside. My first thought was, oh, they just might be the couple if they got together. But that little fantasy was shattered in an instant because Seo also stepped out of her room, and boom, Jongkyu stepped away from Saebom so fast, like bro, you'd think he was already married to Seo. I mean, the level of commitment between those two in just 2 days is wild. Seriously, what's in the water there? Anyways, he joins her and they both head outside to stamp their names on the board for their date. They both chose baking. This fun just got juicier. Meanwhile, Saebom chose golfing after pondering a little. It's like she was mentally waving goodbye to Jongkyu. It seems like she's seeing it's become more impossible to get a chance with Jongkyu. And then, there's Gyudeok, who seemed totally drained, like all his energy was sucked out. He decided to give up on Seo too and joined Saebom's team for golf. But the real tea is that the tension between Jongkyu and Gyudeok was epic, like, when they passed each other, it felt like a battle was about to break out. The air was so cold, I swear I saw frost forming. This is the power of women folks, ha ha ha. But honestly, I feel Gyudeok could have handled the situation better. If he was really into Seo, he should have made some bold moves and taken charge. Being too gentle and passive is not gonna cut it. He didn't even try to adjust his strategy when things weren't going his way. And, he also doesn't act on his pain. What I mean by that is that if you have a headache, you can take a pill to ease the pain, right? So when he sees that his approach and timing were off, then he should have changed it up and tried a different approach to get closer to Seo and show even better charms for her to see why he's a better catch than Jongkyu. So, Soojin picked baking, and the funniest part. She was the one who actually woke Haekyung up to go stamp her name on the board. If Soojin had known that Haekyung would be a little interested in Gyudeok, I highly doubt she would have done that. Honestly, if I were in her shoes, I'd have let Haekyung sleep through the morning until it was time to head out for the dates, haha. But nope, Haekyung got up and in her sleepiness chose baking too, which pretty much screamed, I'm over Gyudeok on my first crush and first impression vote. Good for her. Meanwhile, Gyudeok was having a mini crisis trying to figure out where to stamp his name because of the uneven distribution on the board. Then without missing a beat, Minsung jumps in and picks Saebom's group. Gyudeok finally decides on baking too. Then came breakfast, and Minsung wasted no time showing Saebom he was into her, offering her drinks and all that. But poor Gyudeok, he was just too slow on the uptake. Even when Saebom offered to drive, he completely missed his chance to sit up front with her because he was too busy packing the golf gear into the trunk. Like, come on man. If he wanted her attention, he needed to step up his game, but instead, he was just awkward and out of sync during their car conversation. I was really feeling for Gyudeok at this point, my guy is just way too lax. Thankfully, He's barely looked at his watch so far in this episode. I think this show didn't kick off well for him at all. He kept missing points. And don't even get me started on his golf game, it was just sad. Min Sung, on the other hand, was pretending to be a golf newbie on the way to the date, only to totally crush it like a pro when they started playing. He was even teaching Saebom like a boss. It was her first time playing golf. Poor Gyuwon just couldn't keep up. But a few moments gave me hope for him when he upped his game a little bit, giving her heat packs and his jacket and all. The two men were trying so hard to impress her, it was crazy good to watch. Actually, I think Saebom had the best date because she got undivided attention from two handsome men. Min Sung has a nice physique, but those plaid pants he's got on. I can't even comment on it, huh? No, my man, I'm not a fan of those pants, lol. Their date was pretty chill. At lunch, Saebom said she values feelings more than the vibes a man gives her. Min Sung said he likes pretty people. This made her giggle a lot because that meant she was pretty, while Gyuwon said that he can adjust based on if he has a crush and he feels his feelings can develop based on that person's personality. Then, during their ride back, things got a little more serious when Saebom asked the men what information was most important to them. Was it age, occupation, or if their love interest had children? Min Sung replied that he was curious about everything but that the most important to him was the latter, whether the person has children. Then she added that most people prefer those who don't have kids, then further probed for more info from Min Sung, asking if that could affect his choice. Then my guy took a deep sigh, which made the others laugh. He said he's been asked that question a lot lately, which makes him think about it a lot. He said he needed time to ponder on it deeply for him to know if it's really a problem or not. Then he concluded by saying it is a difficult problem, to which Saebom agreed that it was indeed difficult. It was good that he avoided answering that question directly, however, it was clear that he'd prefer a woman with no kids. He just didn't want Saebom to judge him badly just in case she has kids. Meanwhile, the second team headed out for their date. Sujin was on a mission, walking faster than anyone else to snag the front seat with Gyudeok, while the others were left sitting in the back. But honestly, Haekyung looked a bit lost and not too thrilled when she got into the car. Gyudeok, though, couldn't help but keep an eye on Haekyung through the rearview mirror because she looked so lonely. Then, they hit up a shop, their first date spot. Gyudeok spotted some tiny rings and he called Sujin, telling her it seems like something she might like. Well, the twist here was that Haekyung started warming up to Gyudeok in that store. But he wasn't sure if she was just being friendly, so he played along. But then, he quickly went without anyone noticing to pay for some items. When it was time for baking, Gyudeok asked who wanted to team up with him. My dear Sujin, bless her heart, was too busy being shy to realize she had competition. While she was over there smiling and blushing, Haekyung quickly raised her hand and snagged the spot as Gyudeok's baking partner, and just like that, they were paired up. Next to them, Seo and Jongkyu were already moving like a real couple, naturally pairing up without a second thought. Everyone was busy tying aprons for each other, and poor Sujin was left to do it all by herself. This date was brutal. Sujin felt really left out, but it was nice to see Haekyung happy. When I first started watching this show, I thought Seo had the best visuals among the ladies, but after watching this baking scene, Sujin stole the spotlight. And the way she smoothly slid in to assist Gyudeok when Haekyung stepped away was epic. It's crazy how Gyudeok's life did a 180 after just one night, with two ladies suddenly fighting for his attention. Unbelievable. The MC's reactions were totally on point here, especially when Sujin pouted and complained that Gyudeok didn't even check up on her at least once. Then guess what Gyudeok did next? Because she complained that Gyudeok wasn't helping her at all, he went over to assist her and stood by her side even when Haekyung was there, lol. Now it was Haekyung's turn to pout. I almost died with laughter. This scene was too chaotic. At some point, Gyudeok stood in between the two ladies and started complimenting them both. He told Sujin that hers came out beautifully, then some other times he'd also compliment Haekyang. It's amazing. My guy became the most wanted overnight lol. Then when he burned his fingers with the baking pan. I liked how both the ladies showed their feelings of concern towards him. Although Haekyang first called him an idiot. She said, "You idiot, idiot." In my head, I'm like, girl, why was that the first word that came out of your mouth? He's a guy who suffered so much negative utterances from his ex. The last words he needed to her in that situation was someone calling him an idiot. Although I get it, she was just surprised. Then he also muttered to himself that he was an idiot. I wonder why he would repeat that to himself though. Then there's Sujin too. She also wouldn't give up. She rushed to his side like a mama bear to check up on him. She gives off the vibe of a mom or big sister rather than a lover. Still, I enjoy how she freely expresses herself to him. And when he gave her the gifts in the car, that was so cute. What he paid for in the shop was the tangerine ring he showed her earlier. He also got her a fridge magnet. I believe he did this to reciprocate her feelings for him. I think this was his way of showing he really cares about her, especially since he hasn't given her much attention yet. It felt like his way of saying, he was open to getting to know her better. Let's not forget that when he got the ring, he probably was thinking he might never get a chance with Haekyang, but after this baking date, he must have known that Haekyang was showing some interest in him. So that makes me wonder why he still gave Sujin the ring even after seeing Haekyang's moves towards him. Then oddly enough, after giving her the ring, he told her to quickly tuck the gifts away. My guess about why he wanted her to keep it a secret was because he wasn't sure about Haekyang yet and didn't want her to know in order not to hurt her feelings, or blow up his chance with her if there's a potential romantic relationship there. It could also be that he wanted it to be their little secret for their growing feelings for each other. Because he could have decided not to give that ring to her if he wasn't interested in her at all, but he did, even after having paired up with Haekyang. The other members arrived at that moment and sat in the car. Jongkyu said he wondered what would be revealed that day. Sujin asked him what he would like to get revealed. He replied that he's ready to reveal everything while Gyudeok said he didn't want anything revealed until the end. My first thought during this scene was, what were they waiting for? Maybe they were waiting for members of the crew or something before driving off. It just seemed sketchy that they were there waiting for nothing. Then suddenly, Gyudeok got up and said that he needed to use the bathroom. Anyways, after he left, our precious lady Sujin couldn't hide her excitement. She got the ring out and showed it to all of them, telling them he gave her a ring including her rival. The problem here is that she didn't know how much Gyudeok liked Haekyang. She only sees her as a rival briefly due to the baking date, so in my view, she swung out the ring to prove that Haekyang was only wasting her time, that she's gained so much ground in Gyudeok's heart that she even got a ring. If she had known, she would have respected his wishes and kept the ring a secret until she's able to completely mark his heart. Spilling that tea to everyone out of sheer excitement was a huge mistake. When they got home, she ran fast to Saebom's room to go share the good news and tell her that she got a ring. OMG. I hope she doesn't get disappointed eventually, because even though Gyudeok was always curious about her, he only had eyes for Haekyang. I'm rooting for her and hope she doesn't get hurt. So, the roommates had a little chat, and things got interesting. Jongkyu asked Gyuwon about Saebom, and Gyuwon was all like, yeah, she's good and all, but the conversation quickly shifted to Seo. Jongkyu didn't waste any time making it clear that he's only interested in Seo. And let me tell you, Gyuwon was not happy about it. He was visibly frustrated. Gyuwon is just so slow when it comes to this stuff. A guy like him might end up only with girls who make the first move. But seriously, couldn't someone on the production team tell him that his foundation was way too cakey? It looks like he's got fondant icing on his face. It's just too much. I mean, I wouldn't want to date a guy with that much powder on his face. Anyway, later that night, they got the chance to enter the secret room where they could dig up any info they wanted about the other members, jobs, kids, medical history, you name it. Gyuwon was up first, and he checked out one of the ladies' info. Turns out, she has a child and has full custody, raising the kid on her own. I'm guessing it was Saebom's info, though it wasn't revealed whose information he looked at. We will get to see what other reveals will come up in the next episode. Now, I have to say, I really enjoyed the golf scene and the baking scene with Gyudeok. However, I feel sorry for Haekyung because she was starting to get interested in Gyudeok, but the whole ring situation really threw her off. Just when she was gaining ground and starting to have hope, it all slipped away. I can't wait to chat about episode 4 with you guys. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.